I think this whole thing about El Fabiolo being a poor jumper is a whole load of tosh. Alright all, and welcome back to another Let's Talk Racing video in association with Racing TV as we ramp up our coverage for the Cheltenham Festival of 2023. We looked at the novice herders a couple of days ago. We're now on to the novice chasers. And Josh, I suppose we're talking about the Supreme and how we're desperate to get the winner of it. If you haven't had the winner of the Supreme, you move on to the Arkle second race. It's imperative to get the Arkle right.
It is. And usually it's dominated by, let's say, an odds-on favourite of Willie Mullins, Nicky Henderson. They both have a couple of runners. Well, Mullins has a couple of runners this year, and Nicky has John Bon, really competitive, and it's going to be interesting to see which side of the fence that we both sit on. I know it's a topic that is discussed greatly across the racing world at the moment. And also it is a topic that you can also get slightly more clued up on with the sponsor of this video, the Cheltenham Festival 2023 preview guide written by Paul Ferguson and supplied by Weatherby's. It's brilliant. They're great supporters of the channel, and it's brilliant that we can work alongside them. It's a book that we said before, you just use all the time. Yeah, you do use it all the time. I think it's just a must-have when you think about it. With something like Cheltenham, you can never have too much information, you know, and there's people that will like stats, people that won't like stats, trends, and all the likes, but at the same stage, you just need that library of information. And I think Paul Ferguson, we've seen sometimes from his Horses to Follow books, from his Cheltenham preview books, he just gives it all, and it's an engaging read. It's not one of those things that you're reading like it's a dictionary. This is actually a good read, has so many winners coming out of it year on year on year, and to be honest, if I had the winners that Paul had, I'd be writing books. They've also got some great guests on there as well, guest writers, and like you say, chuck plenty of winners out. It's well worth it. The Cheltenham Festival is less than 2 weeks away. If you ordered it today, you can use our code LTRPOD for £4 off that order, whether it be the digital version, which I think takes it down to £8, or the book version, which I think takes it down to 12. Please do. It's brilliant. And do let us know as well, if you want to order it and you use our code, then do screenshot your confirmation or whatever, send it to us on Twitter, and we might do a giveaway with those that do that. We have another big announcement, the preview night. We mentioned it in the last video. Now we have a date, time, place, and what the general crack is. It's Thursday the 9th, next Thursday. Doors open at 7 p.m. for a 7:30 start in Birmingham, and it's at Our Lady of Lords Club 2022, Trittyford Road. Can't say I've ever been there before, but it's Birmingham. The address will be on screen now. It's £10 per person. There's a buffet. I think there's drinks there as well. And it will be a good night. And you're coming along as well.
I am indeed. Managed to get the late call up, which is fantastic. Very nice of them to have me alongside yourself. The buffet swung it for me. I was never going to be turning down a buffet now. But as you say, can't say I've been to the place myself, but I'm really looking forward to it. Hopefully we'll see a few people there that will know of us, and we might have a few pints and a good time.
And you can turn up on the day and get your tickets as well. So don't worry about pre-booking or anything like that. I think people around the local area can get tickets, but if you do just want to turn up on the day, it'll be £10 at the door, and you can still get all of those nice delicious treats. And then finally, there we have our LTR Plus live stream on the 12th. Plenty of people have been going, how do I sign up to LTR Plus? Well, what you do is you click on our channel on a desktop, so you have to be on a computer, and next to our name there will be a join button. Once you click that join button, you should follow the instructions there, but you have to go through, sign up to LTR Plus. It's £2.99 a month. We do appreciate that greatly, and it massively helps out the channel. It means that we can upgrade the equipment and do all sorts of things, which is exciting, progressive, and we wouldn't want it any other way. So if you do want to sign up to that, then you will get to enjoy the Cheltenham Festival live stream special only for LTR Plus members. Really looking forward to doing that. But let's get stuck into things. If you do enjoy this video, please hit that like button. If we could smash 850 likes on this video, that would be great. We hit 1,000 on the second last video, and I think we hit 750 in a day on the last video, so absolutely mind-boggling numbers. And I think we've hit 100 videos as well, 100 episodes of LTR.
Yeah, I've been raising the bat the last few days. I've been walking around the office with an imaginary bat in my hand, giving it these ones. But I must say that 1,000 likes on the handicap video was mind-boggling to me, really, the support we've received. And as we've said with the LTR Plus stuff, I think certainly from our perspective, we feel with the microphones, with it just looking that little bit sharper, we can obviously continue to improve. We've already been sitting down pre-planning for next season. I know we're a long way away, but what we might be able to do in the summer, we obviously did very exciting things last summer with Paul Nicholls, Dan Skelton. Try to get stuff like that in the pipeline. Of course, if viewers have little suggestions, little tidbits of information that they maybe want us to go down the lines of, we're more than happy to discuss and maybe try and improve as much as we can. But that all comes down to your support, and we can't thank you enough.
Do get your thoughts and ideas down in the comments. And a big, 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 big thank you. Hopefully you do enjoy the content. And the next video is going to be our Tuesday preview. The first day of the Cheltenham Festival will be coming out at 9 o'clock Tuesday morning. We'll have 4 videos next week, as well as the LTR Plus live stream. Really looking forward to things, but let's get stuck in. We've rambled on for long enough. The first novice chase that we're going to preview is the Arkle. And is it a 2-horse race?
I think realistically, from a winning perspective, it is.
Is it a 2.5 horse race? Like you probably can't write off Dynamo.
No, you can't, and I suppose the way he's going to shape the race is very important as well. You know, because he's going to go out in front, he's going to set brisk fractions, and he's going to put horses under pressure. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if you're in a situation where he's coming down the hill to that tricky third last fence on the old course, and you probably think he might win because he might have the 2 off it in behind. Whether he's going to really see out 2 miles around Cheltenham, I think that's maybe a little bit more sceptical, and that's where the closers like the John Bonds, El Fabiolos that are going to sit in behind him are going to become big, big dangers.
Hard to work out who's going to run here. I think it'll be Al Fabiolo, John Bond, Dysart Dynamo, Saint Rois, final orders, maybe one more in their hollow game, something like that. Probably 6 or 7, I'd say, in the Arkle. And the 2 at the head of the market are El Fabiolo, who's 6-4, just about favourite. John Bond's 13-8. So not a lot between them at all. Where do you sit in that debate? Because it is a big debate. Is El Fabiolo good enough to reverse the form at Aintree last year? Was John Bond slightly flat? Who's improved the most? Were you disappointed with John Bond the last day? There's so many questions around both of these.
Yeah, it's a fantastic question. I think you could line 100 people up. It might be 50-50. I think we're probably in that camp where it might be one apiece. I don't want to preempt what you're thinking, but I've probably gone the side of El Fabiolo, really. I just think that Irish Arkle form is probably the best novice chase we've seen all season, both sides of the sea.
I'd agree with that,
that's not necessarily John Bond's fault. It's just like you do look at this market, like what's the next English horse in the market? There isn't one we can see, you know, like it's just the way that's worked out. So he's won 2-0 races before Christmas, and then even the race, there was a bit of a scrappy little thing against Calico. It was a nothing race again. So his credentials haven't been tested massively. I suppose my worry slightly is that his credentials weren't tested massively going into Cheltenham last year, and then he got beat and got beaten well. And I know it was by a freak in Constitution Hill, but the way El Fabiolo won at Leopardstown would indicate he's no mere normal horse.
Yeah, really, really, really interesting race. I said at the start of the season that I'd be happy to take John Bon on, regardless of what he does this season. I said that he'd be winning Little Tin Pot races, probably Little Tin Pot Grade 1s, and then he'd turn up to Cheltenham and not be quick enough. And I've completely changed my mind on that. I think I was wrong. I think what's happened is he's won Tin Pot graded races, Tin Pot Grade 1s, but I think he does have more speed than I originally gave him credit for.
Yeah.
I think I originally said that he's a 3-miler, and it wouldn't surprise me if he stepped up to 2.5 down the line, 3 miles maybe. But I do think he is a very good jumper, and I think that helps over this trip. He needs a big galloping track. I think with Dysart Dynamo going really hard, I actually think it could benefit John Bond. I think it benefits El Fabiolo as well. But I think John Bond's the better jumper out of the 2. El Fabiolo won the strongest novice chase over 2 miles this year. No doubt about that at the Dublin Racing Festival. But he wasn't faultless jumping. And I know John Bond wasn't incredible at Warwick, and he was put under pressure under Calico. I thought it was a good ride from Harry Skelton. We've had that debate before. We don't need to go into it again. I just feel that he is, on the big day, I think he will be slicker. I think he will put in a better round of jumping than a Fabiolo. I think tactics are interesting. They're obviously going to go hard on Dysart Dynamo because it's the only way you can ride him. And that sets it up for both. What does Aidan Coleman do? Does he let Dysart Dynamo stride on a little bit? Does he sit back? Do you go too quick? That's going to be the thing that I think could beat John Bon. with tactics and rider.
Yeah, I suppose it's just one of those things, how much they can keep a lid on John Bon. You know, I think it gets underplayed and under talked about, to be honest. That, you know, he was lit up at Cheltenham last year in the Supreme, as was Dynamo, and they slit each other's necks out in front. And as much as Constitution Hill was tremendous, I know I've made this point before, the race did fall into his lap, you know, because they went so fast. He was able to get a lovely lead off it. Now, he was good enough to go that gallop, which was the difference between him and the likes of a Mighty Potter, say, who was always behind it. But I just feel if that happens again, is Paul Townley not going to be sitting on El Fabiolo almost laughing at these two going off like the clappers against each other? I think.
Do you really think Coleman would not have worked that one out? I remember, I think I've seen in their Kempton morning when they went round, a tradition of Nicky Henderson's, they made a big point of dropping him out in amongst 3 horses.
Yeah, but come on. Like, I could be dropped out in a 3-horse gallop around Kempton. And we didn't learn anything there, apart from the fact that Constitution Hill, even on the gallops, is eating horses.
I think we did learn. We learned that they're thinking about it, clearly, that they're aware that this could be a big bust-up going forward. Yeah, no, I understand they're aware of it. At the same stage, though, if John Bon, who's perennially been a free sweater, a keen-going, enthusiastic sort, and I've no issue with that, it's easier said than done to just go and get him to go asleep just in behind Dynamo. If he gets revved up by this horse out in front, he may go with them. And I just think, if I'm being personally honest with myself, I think this whole thing about El Fabiolo being a poor jumper is a whole load of tosh. He made one mistake in the Dublin Racing Festival at 4 out, and the thing that I loved about him was that he made that mistake and he goes down to the next, which is a tricky fence at Leopardstown, absolutely winged it, straight back in the race, and goes down to the last, jumps it like a fresh horse. He might as well have just jumped in at the last. Did he even go round the first circle? I don't think many people are saying he's a deplorable jumper. I think they're saying that John Bon is considerably better. Well, I don't buy that in the slightest. How could you watch that Warwick race and the Leopardstown race and honestly tell me that John Bon is streets ahead jumping with? He may be a slightly better jumper, but you're making it out like John Bon jumps here, like he's sprinter sacra, and El Fabiolo may as well be in a claimer. He's extremely slick. He even was at his hurdles. I personally feel you're looking far too much into the Warwick run. I really do. Yeah, but I'm looking into it because it's his last run. Should we not look into Facile Vega's last run? No, you told us we could not. You know, two very different cases there. No, I just think you can't be one side for one thing, one side for the other. And at the same stage, there are an awful lot of people that are just, that they've had it in their mind all year that John Bon is going to win this race. Maybe because they've backed him at 5-1, 6-1. Great if you have. Go on. You could well be collecting. He's got every chance. But I would be 60-40 El Fabiolos. Oh, just for those that are watching, I haven't backed John Bon at any of those fancy prices, and it's going to be the biggest debate, I think, going into the Cheltenham Festival between us two this season. Yeah, no, and I get things wrong plenty of the time, and I may well get this thing wrong, but I just think the El Fabiolo being a significantly poorer jumper thing is just a completely overplayed argument. Like, I'm seeing people on Twitter, not you, to be fair, and I'm not putting it on you, but there are people out there. Feels like you are. No, well, you're the one that's spokespersoning for John Bon at this stage, and I'm trying to get stuff off my chest. I think El Fabiolo's a dross jumper. Yeah, well, you're now just stirring the pot. But there are people that would make it out like your man can't jump at all, which is just completely not. What price is he for the Stayers Hurdle? Yeah, well, he'll be there next season, probably. Alongside John Bon, maybe in the plate. Moving on then to the Turners. And again, probably trying to work out who's going to run here. Mighty Potter's favourite. I think he'll run. Banbridge will run. Appreciate It will run. I think it's probably a 30-40% chance that Sir Gerhard runs. I think Stage Star will run. Palco Coastal will run. James de Burley could run. Adamantly chosen. Sorry, sound like Barry White. I sound like a smoke 50 a day. Adamantly chosen will run. Bron could run. Maximus could run. And imagine Willie's going to have 4 or 5 in the race. But the big talking point, I think, is Mighty Potter. Is he as good as of what we've seen of him so far? He's won 2 Grade 1s. He's won his beginner's chase. He won the Drimmoor. He won the 2.5 mile race at the Dublin Racing Festival as well. And he's looked very impressive. And he looks like he's progressed with each run. I remember watching his chasing debut going, blimey, he's very guessy and a bit streaky. Didn't seem to know what he was doing. Has become more professional. Still think he's got a bit of a quirk. Still think he's quite green and babyish. I think he will improve. But he's 11-8. Is that a price you're willing to get stuck in on?
No. That's not an indictment of his chances. I think he's got a huge chance. He's clearly, to me, the best long-term prospect in the race. He's the only horse in this race that you're honestly thinking
he's like Savills Chase next year.
Yeah, he's a Savills Chase and potentially on to being a Gold Cup horse. And I don't look at anything else in this race and go, the Gold Cup horse win, potentially winner in waiting here. But at the same stage, he is a bit green still. I don't know how, considering he's still run plenty of times. He bombed out in the Supreme last year. I know you can overthink about that, overhype it, but at the same stage, he's been to Cheltenham once, he's been pulled up once. It's something you can't quite just... Like, if you're taking a price of this substance, if you're talking about a 7-1 horse, you wouldn't think about it. But he's 11-8, and I just think it would not surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if he won by 5 lengths. It wouldn't surprise me if, for some reason, he got turned over.
So you're not going to get stuck in at 11-8. Is there a price you would get stuck in at for a different one?
It's a hard race to get a handle on. I've obviously put up Appreciated at 10-1 for the Turners, which was obviously such a bad bet that you're now coughing into the sheets on. But he's 9-2 best price at the moment. He's probably around right there. I think there's still a hope for him.
I think they'll ride him just like Vautour. He's a 9-year-old. I don't think they've got any problems with him staying. I think they'll go forward and try and utilise his jumping, get him in a really good rhythm and put pressure on Mighty Potter. Yeah, no,
and I'd love to see him do that. I think that's probably his best chance of winning the race. The one thing I can say about this race that, now I'm not the type of person that's stinging around in Paddy Power looking for match bets and stuff like that. But at the same stage, Banbridge is currently a shorter price than Appreciated. And this is a myth that I need to debunk.
Oof.
Because Banbridge beat Appreciated in the Irish Arkle by...
Lots of fans of Banbridge here that you could offend.
No, fair enough. Like, they offend me, I offend them. But he's beaten Appreciated like this in the Irish Arkle. And people are saying, oh, well, he'll certainly uphold that over a longer trip. He was outpaced and all that. But, like, if Appreciated was ridden in the Irish Arkle to just beat Banbridge, he'd have beaten him 10 lengths. Like, he's been succumbed in by the fact that he went with the winner. He went with Dysart Dynamo. He was on the front end of big paces. For JJ Slevin, halfway down the back, went, I cannot win this race, and just sat off it. And then has just tried to pick up place money, and he's done a very good job in doing so. But I just don't think it's as straightforward as people saying, oh, well, he's now a better horse than Appreciated, and stepping up in trip, he'll 100% confirm that. I think if you rode Appreciated single-handedly to beat Banbridge, he would have done it easily, and then Appreciated would have been 3-1, and Banbridge 5-6-1, which is more so what I feel the prices should be. The fact Banbridge is a shorter price than Appreciated just boggles my mind.
See, I'm not 100% sure where I sit on this race at the moment, but I think I would be leaning towards Appreciate it at the prices. I just think they're going to ride him prominently, and there's something about Mighty Potter. He's got so much ability. As everyone knows, I'm a Gordon Elliott fanboy. There's just something about him which I don't completely trust, and that might be last year's Supreme. It might be the slight babiness and the greenness of some of his performances, and I think at that price I'd be happy to let him win 11-8. Could be completely wrong. He's shown the most ability this year by a mile in that race, but I'm just willing to leave him at this year's Cheltenham Festival.
Yeah, well, I can see that. One novice chase of us being apart, and we're finally back together.
From one Gordon Elliott hot pot to another, this time in the Brown Advisory over 3 miles. Jerry Colombe is 2-1. I put him up on the anti-post series at 9-1. We're very happy with that. I think he's 7-4 in most places. Mighty Potter's second favourite. He's not going to run here. He's going to run over 2.5 miles. The Real Whacker will run here, I'd say. I think they're contemplating the Gold Cup. I think they'd be balmy to do that. I really couldn't fancy him for either race. And I would, if I was connections, I would take the easier option, and you're much more likely to have a good run for your money. I think Willie Mullins has flirted with this race with Sir Gerhard. It's a massive ask, in my opinion, to go from a 2-mile beginner's chase where he didn't jump particularly well, made a clanging mistake, to then running over 3 miles at Cheltenham. And they're going to go quick here. I think people think that running over 2 miles in a 3-runner race at Down Royal or wherever it was, they're going to go slow, completely different. I'm not sure the actual pace will be too much different. I think his jumping will be put under pressure. Time Hill's probably going to run here. Gallard de Menil, not 50-50 at the moment. I think they're thinking National Hunt Chase, but it's not a million he runs here. Garly de la Tow probably will. James de Burle could. Thunder Rock will. I'm not sure any of the rest of them in the betting are going to be putting up too much of a fight. I'm going to say it now. My nap at the Cheltenham Festival is Jerry Cologne.
Oh, that's very, very effusive. And
at 2-1. Love him. I think he stays. He shouldn't have been doing any of his winning over 2.5 miles this season. Shouldn't have won the Faheen Novices Chase. It was too short for him, 2-3. Shouldn't have gone to Sandown on quick ground and beaten a quick course in Balco Coastal over 2.5. He's going to love the Steppenman trip. I wouldn't be worried about the ground, especially with the trip in his favour. And I take on the real whacker. I think Sir Gerhard has a class to beat him. I think he is a very, very good horse. But what he's done this season, being seen once, wouldn't be for me whatsoever. And I'm not sure Jack Kennedy or Jordan Gainford are going to be silly enough to turn it into a sprint where Sir Gerhard could do him. I think they're going to be tanking on down the hill, jump 2-3 out and go on and make it a real stamina test, which Jerry will absolutely love. Time Hill's really interesting. Wouldn't write him off at all. I think if he puts it all together, like we saw in the Corto Star, he could definitely put up a big performance. He likes Cheltenham. He's interesting. But I just think out of all of these, if we're looking forward to a Gold Cup horse, Jerry Cologne is that for me.
Yep, no, I agree with you there. Look, I'm not quite as effusive and positive as you are. I think he'll win the race. I'll be waiting to the day and see what price he is. More than likely would back him if he's 7-4, 2-1 on the day. I'd back him. I won't be backing him, right as we finish this video with 2 weeks to go. But at the same stage, I look at Jerry Cologne and I go, is he beatable in the grand scheme of things? Potentially. But then I look at this race and go, well, actually, no. I don't think he is beatable, to be honest. I really don't fancy the real whacker. He's a good jumper. He's an honest horse. Hope he runs well for connections. Hope he's in the 3. I think he deserves to be. But, even the form of his races isn't actually that great. Beating Monmoral the last day, beating Indigo Breeze. It's a handicap horse. Bardenstown Lad and Hota Stream were joint favourites for that race. They have been 2 of the biggest busts of the season. 2 very disappointing busts because they were both decent novices last year. Sir Gerhard, I'd have the same feeling as you. I don't think Time Hill will jump well enough around Cheltenham. Cheltenham's a completely different test to Kempton as well. And the rest of them, Jesus, I couldn't have in a fit, to be honest. The worst thing about this race is that if Gallard de Menil runs in the race, I think he'd probably come 2nd or 3rd. And with no great disrespect to the horse, because he could have a great chance in the National Chase, he shouldn't be finishing 2nd in an RSA, I don't think, or a Brown Advisory, should I say. And he probably would in this race if he ran in it. Yeah,
no, I would agree. What do you think the chances of that happening are?
I would be with you. I think it's probably 70-30 that he goes to the National Chase, because they'll probably see it as being near on an open goal to try and kick into.
I think it probably does depend on their feelings towards Sir Gerhard, because if they think Sir Gerhard is the one, they're really confident he'll stay 3 miles, he'll jump well, then they'd have no problem with just running him. If they don't, Gallard de Menil is probably their best 3-miler that they've ran this season.
Yeah,
it's just an obvious way to go. So we're both saying Jerry Cologne. I'm very strong. You're just not as that strong.
I just don't see what beats him more than I suppose. I don't think. I don't look at Jerry Cologne and I don't think I'm seeing a future Gold Cup winner.
Okay, interesting. The final novice chase is the National Hunt Chase for amateur riders. It's run over 3 miles and 6 furlongs, also known as the 4-miler. Gallard de Menil is even money. Ramilli's in there for the same connections. Churchstone Warrior in there. Marla Mission, Chemical Energy, Mr. Coffee. Manila Crooner will run. Plenty of horses, maybe at bigger prices, will also run. But Gallard de Menil is this a penalty kick for him? Because out of all the horses we talked about today, he's the shortest of them all.
Yeah, which is bizarre considering it's going to be a 12-13 runner national and chase. I know he's got the class, he's the Grade 1 winner of the lineup, and he could go and just win.
Well, you put up one of these horses
I did.
in the Ante-Post series. At what price?
14 to 1, I think, maybe 12 to 1. One of the two, 12 or 14 to 1 on
Now
Malor
best
Mission.
price 7.
Yeah, no, a good bet. And,
Runs in the race.
Runs in the race.
Barry O'Neill book.
Well, that just got me very giddy the other day.
Oh.
Because I said on one of the previous videos, just go and book Barry O'Neill. Please, John, please. What did John do? He booked something.
Well, you'd imagine Jamie Codd would have ridden a Gordon Elliott horse regardless. Is he, and obviously Patrick would have ridden Gaillard du Mesnil, is he the third best option in that?
No, 100%. Barry O'Neill's absolute mustard. I think there's an awful lot of people actually in Ireland that would say Barry O'Neill's probably fundamentally the nicest almost amateur rider, the best amateur rider. He's ridden the most point-to-point winners. He's won the point-to-point championship for years and years and years. He's just a very good rider. He hasn't won a race around Cheltenham at the festival, which is, you know, so harsh on him considering he's been on Winged Leader, he's been on Discoram.
Is he going to be on Vorsley?
He will be on Vorsley, yeah.
He'll win this year.
Yeah, he'll be on Christie's best horse. He'll probably be on something good in the Kim Muir as well. So, you know, you're in a situation where he's going to go over with a decent book of rides. I think this horse is as good a chance as he's going to have, to be honest, because he's jumped superbly. And I think actually a little bit like we had last year with Run Wild Fred and Statler, Gaillard du Mesnil's a better horse than Malor Mission. I'm not getting away.
So he could be the Statler.
Yeah, he could be.
Yeah.
I don't think Gaillard du Mesnil is quite as good as Statler, to be honest, but he could be the Statler of the race. But at the same stage, in comparison to last year, it's not going to be a 5-6 runner race.
Okay.
Because it turned into a tactical near-on 2.5 mile race. It really just turned into a half-mile sprint, to be honest. As for this year, it's going to be 12-13 runners. There's horses in there like John Snow, Blackjack Magic, who have no real chance, to be honest, but they're going to run.
Would there be much pace?
I think there will be. I think it'll turn back into more of your typical national and chase. There's an infamous, more emphasis on staying, more emphasis on jumping well. And you get a horse then like Malor Mission, who maybe is more of a top handicapper rather than a Grade 1 horse, having more of a say.
And I suppose, let's say there's 12, 13 runners and no one really wants to go on. What will end up happening, because it'd be more competitive, is they'll just get racing earlier. Yeah. So it'll work both ways. It will be more of a stamina test, whether there's 6 in the field and they go really hard, or there's 15 and they go slow but then quicken really early.
Well, yeah, like if you ran the race like you ran it last year, Gaillard du Mesnil doesn't get beat, I don't think. Okay. Because there was no pressure on Statler's jumping last year because they were going around at a married man's gallop. As for any horse can fall, Willie Mullins has had favourites in this race before, plenty of times that have fallen or unseated. Ramillies couldn't have in a fit. I think that horse has a hole in him under pressure, to be honest. You even saw it in Nace where he was a little bit wandery under pressure and he lost the race to the Devil's Coachman. Churchstone Warrior, he's a good horse. Not convinced he'll run. If he does run, who's going to ride it? Not sure. And I'm just...
I obviously spend a lot of time with you, and I get the impression that you think there's 3 horses that could feasibly win the race.
Yeah.
I think you think Gaillard du Mesnil could win the race given the right conditions.
Certainly, yeah.
I think you think Malor Mission could win the race.
If it's ran like the old school days, yeah.
And I think you think Minella Crooner could possibly have the ability to win the race if he put it all together.
Certainly, yeah. He's a good horse, Minella Crooner. You'd only look back at the I Am Maximus run. The last day concerned me greatly. He looked like a complete mule. But he's going to be maybe that 8-9 to 1 price. He would certainly tempt me a lot more than Chemical Energy would. And you can't rule out Gordon Elliott. He's got a great record in this race.
I think Codd will be on Minella Crooner.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that he will still steer clear of Chemical Energy, who was disappointing on his last start. So looking at that, you're sticking with Malor Mission?
Yeah, I think it's a very good each way price.
I would probably back Minella Crooner each way at 14 to 1. Yep. I think that I don't think he's going to take a good beat or anything like that, but I think that he'll run extremely well.
I think he'll run a good race,
and if Gaillard du Mesnil was to bum out for whatever, I think he's got every chance of running just as well as a Malor Mission, Churchtown Warrior or Ramillies.
Do you give Ramillies a chance in this? Am I being stupid?
I've always seen him as a thorough stayer, and I think he's probably a Grand National horse down the line, or an Irish National horse.
God, he's got absolutely no chance.
I don't think you're being stupid. I wouldn't back him for this race personally. equally, I do think he is a good horse.
Who's going to ride the second string of Willys? Jody Townend?
Not sure at all. Not sure.
Yeah, it's just a very interesting one. It's interesting one. I think Churchstone Warrior, if he was to run, maybe Derek O'Connor might be on him. Although Derek O'Connor has a bit of an affiliation with Mr. Coffee, who might run in this race. So it's very interesting, but I can't overemphasize how key some of these riders are in these races. You know, I think we're being stupid not kind of mentioning it to a certain degree when it comes to this race, the Kim Muir, the Fox Hunters. Like, to be honest, you want Patrick Mullins, you want Jamie Carter, you want Barry O'Neill in your corner.
You absolutely do. And hopefully you want Let's Talk Racing on your screens next week. If you do, please hit that subscribe button. And we do hope you enjoyed this video. If we could hit 850 likes, that would be great. Get your comments down below. What do you fancy in the Arkle, the Turn of the Brand Advisory and the National Hunt Chase? Do come to the preview night if you're around the Birmingham area. It'd be great to see you, great to chat. Plenty of time for that. And we look forward to next week's video. It's the Big Four. Cannot wait. We'll see you soon. Enjoy.